Kratos, the god of war. You think Kratos looks tough? I spent 2 days turning him into a Metahuman so real, he'd probably punch me through the screen for sculpting his abs this good. Let's see how I transformed the god of war into a next-gen beast. Then, we will also make him playable at the end of the video. We will also recreate an iconic scene from the first God of War game, so be sure to stick around till the end. So let's look at the full breakdown. First things first, I kick things off by gathering references. I used a handy little tool called PureRef. It's a lifesaver, honestly, and if you're not using it, you're missing out. My goal here is to recreate young Kratos. So, I hunted out images that would capture that vibe. Angry brows, chiseled cheekbones, the works. I even stumbled across the original Kratos model on Sketchfab, which was a goldmine for 3D reference. I'm gonna start by sculpting a face mesh in Blender. This, I want to try and get as close as possible to the reference, accentuating features like cheekbones and angry brows. Once I was happy, or at least happy enough for now, I exported it to Unreal Engine. Why? Because I'm using a Metahuman, and trust me, these things are a game changer. They are super versatile, packed with features for cinematics or gameplay, and they make Kratos look next level. In Unreal, I fired up a Metahuman plugin and used the Mesh to Metahuman process. Here's how it works. I created a new Metahuman identity, imported my sculpt mesh, and promoted a frame to the neutral pose. The plugin does its magic, tracking most of the facial features automatically. So it wasn't perfect right off the bat. It needed some tinkering, and after selecting a body type and hitting Metahuman Identity Solve, my Kratos was added to the Metahuman Creator for further tweaking. Technology, man, it's wild. While in Metahuman Creator, I slapped on a goatee beard. Kratos has to have that rugged charm. Added a basic skin texture, we'll paint more details on this later, and picked out some eyebrows and the right eye color, double checking my reference board the whole time. And it's starting to come together, but we still got work to do. So let's make some adjustments. So I brought my Metahuman back into Blender. In sculpt mode, I grabbed some brushes and started carving out muscle details, following the existing lines and beefing them up where it made sense. Metahumans have separate body and face meshes, because combining them would melt most PCs, so I steered clear of that tricky seam where they meet. Is there a better workaround? Probably. Did I care at the time? No. And it worked just fine for me. Back in Unreal, the mesh was starting to look solid with the new muscles, but it still wasn't Kratos yet. Now, we will use Substance Painter for the textures. So disclaimer, this was my very first time using Substance. I've always known about it and wanted to learn it. So apparently if you buy an asset over $25 on the Fab Marketplace, you get a 6-month free license. So I claimed mine and hopped in. So I followed some tutorials, which I will link in the description. I added a base white layer of paint to the body and face meshes. This is to match Kratos' skin. I adjusted the colors of the nipples and the lips to make them match the reference. I know now there's a better way to do this, but I painted the tattoo by hand. Is it the best way? No. Did it work? You can bet your sweet axe it did. So I added a scar to the skin for that battle-worn look. And I applied some dust to give it an extra grit and realism. So that wrapped up texturing for his body and face. So this workflow wasn't really this linear. So there was a lot of back and forth between the softwares, adjustments made along the way, etc. It took a while to get to a good place. So back in Blender, I fine-tuned his face some more to really nail Kratos' features. Then, it was time to tackle his clothes and accessories. To avoid the nightmare of wave painting, and maybe because I was feeling a bit lazy, I duplicated parts of the body mesh and extruded them to create the base for his gear. It worked for my purpose, so I modeled the belt, loincloth, sandals, bandages, and those iconic chains around his arms. And after fixing any issues, I bound everything to the skeleton and sent it back to Substance Painter. So in Substance again, I used a mix of stencils and brushes to texture his gear. I even bought some stencils for cloth tears, which added a ton of realism to the loincloth. Seriously, those little details make a difference. Some final tweaks. Kratos needs to look like he can rip gods in half. So I added more bigger muscles. Then I found a free model of the Blades of Chaos online. It looked awesome, so I throw those in too. And there you have it, our remastered Kratos. So a lot of people recreated the first scene of God of War 1. I'm going to recreate the final scene, where Kratos finally sits on his throne and becomes
God of War.
Is it 100% perfect? Nah. But considering I pulled this off in just 1 or 2 days, I'm pretty damn proud of it. It looks amazing, and I'm so hyped to see where this project goes next. For the final step, I set him up to be playable in Unreal. So let me show you how easy it is to make a Metahuman playable. You're going to just start by duplicating a Metahuman. Let's call this Playable Kratos. I'm going to open it up, and if you just recently imported your Metahuman, the first thing you want to do is just go fix this. Just switch this to 1 and the force LED to 0. Then, next up, you're going to go to class settings, and you're going to click on parent class, and you're going to say VP third person character. So obviously, if you don't have the third person character, you can just click here, add feature or content pack, and click on third person. So then it will show up. The next step is very easy. You're going to take your root and drag it directly underneath the mesh. And then you're going to go here to live retarget and say use live retarget mode. And then you're going to click this to true. So you'll see it starts copying the animations of the third person mannequin. So next up, we're going to go ahead and click on the root again, and you're just going to reset the position. That will match it up. Now we're going to click on the mesh and search for viz. Then uncheck visible and visibility based tick option. We're going to set on tick pose and refresh pose. Next up, you're going to go to the event graph, and you're just going to click here, right click on the begin play and say add call to parent function. And you're just going to set it up there. So now we can compile, save, and you'll see that it will work. Open this up, and our world settings, just go to Playable Kratos. So now if we press play, we will have our model ready to go. And there we go. So there is a longer way to do this, and that's by retargeting all the animations directly to your Metahuman body and setting up an animation blueprint. So if you are interested in a tutorial like that, let me know and I can set it up for us. So this I will use as a basis for a God of War 1 remastered video. I think it looks excellent. So I hope you learned something from this process. I started a Discord channel where we could chat about this stuff and maybe build a cool community. And by the way, if you want to hire me as a freelancer, my links for Fiverr is down below.